Running ads can be super time consuming if you don't have a plan. So today I'm going to show you how to get ahead of your ads and also some automations that you can set up on your ads that will really maximize your results and also save you a ton of time. And at the very end, I'm going to share with you some really cool parts of your ads management that you can actually batch. So let's get right into it. I want to go through this monthly maintenance protocol with you. Every single month, I want you to look at the following metrics. These are your key performance indicators, your KPIs, and this is going to make all the difference. So you're going to click right here on your campaign, whichever one you want to analyze, and then you're going to click up here in your columns, click on performance and clicks. This will give us access to all the data that we need. Your first metric, of course, is going to be your cost per result. You can base 90% of your decisions on how good your cost per result is. But I want you to look at that and just compare it to other campaigns that have done really well for you in the past and or industry averages. The second metric that I want you to look at is your CPM. So that's your cost per 1,000 impressions. The CPM that I want you to aim for is anything under about $42 per 1,000 impressions. So what if that CPM is really high? Perhaps some of the language either in your ad copy or on your landing page is kind of towing the line a little bit on their policies. Make sure that your ad copy is really Facebook friendly as well as your landing page, and don't forget that URL as well. The next metric that I want you to analyze is your CTR link click-through rates. And I want to see that pushing as close to 1% or over as you can possibly get it. If the CTR link click-through rate is too low, so you're not really getting that 1% or higher, then I really want you to focus on your creative. So improving your imagery, your videos, your GIFs, etc. Really doing your market research and seeing what are the pain points or the pleasure points of my ideal customer and client, and how can I really bring that language directly into my ads. The next key metric that I want you to analyze is your landing page conversion rate. Most of the time you're going to have this built on perhaps a third-party platform, but you can also come into Facebook and simply divide your results by your link clicks, and that's going to give you your conversion rate. One of the biggest questions that we get asked is, what should my conversion rate actually be on my landing pages? So let me walk you through some industry standards. This is going to vary by industry, by niche, by funnel type, etc. But in general, if you are collecting emails for some sort of free information, maybe it's a guide or resource or free training or anything like that, I like to see landing pages converting over 30%. The next type of conversion that people generally want is booking some sort of call, consultation, free quote, something of that nature. And this is going to be a bit of a broader range because there's so many various types of funnels that go into that, but anywhere between 2 and 15% is considered great. And then of course we have e-commerce, and depending on the product and the price point and all of that, you're looking at anywhere between 1 and 7%. And if your landing page is not converting within a healthy range, then I want you to start the process of landing page testing. So this is where you're testing all of the elements on your landing pages, your sales pages, etc., to really get them fully optimized. Now, what if you feel that your ads have really slowed down in the last few days? This is totally common and very normal. So I'm going to show you a really quick trick on how to analyze your ads just to see if they're trending up or down, and always knowing that a few spikes here and there is perfectly acceptable. So here we are inside of your ads manager. Over on the right hand side, we're going to click on this little charts button. In your top right hand corner, you can adjust this to your last 30 days, 14 days, 7 days, kind of click around through those various views, and that's where you can determine for yourself, are your ads trending upward every day, or they have a spike and then it stabilizes again. I personally like to judge my ads based on at least a 4 to 7 day view, because some days are going to spike high and some days are going to spike low, and hopefully you get kind of a stable in between. Now you just performed a monthly analysis. You're going to do some simple monthly testing and just check in a couple of times, maybe even just once depending on your budget, and you could turn things off that are too expensive or try out some new things if you want, or you can just do some automations. The main way that we do this is through automated rules that allows you to turn ads off that are getting too expensive or scale ads that are doing well. You can also put your ads on a schedule, and there's a bunch of little cool things that you can do automatically with your ads without you ever having to touch them. It's going to be right here on your middle menu. You can also find it right here on your Pancake menu under advertise. You'll see it right here. You're going to click here under rules and click create a new rule. There's a reduce auction overlap or custom rule. Most people are going to play with the custom rules, so let's go ahead and click there. The first rule we're going to set up is a cost control rule. So we're going to tell Facebook anytime our ads get too expensive over a period of time, go ahead and turn those ads off for us. Give our rule a name. The next thing you're going to decide is what do you want to apply this rule to? All of your campaigns, ad sets, or ads, or the selected campaign that you're working on and its ad sets and ads. Just kind of think through where you want things to be scaled or turned on or off, and that will help you determine where you should put this rule. The next thing we're going to determine is the action. Now, since this is a cost control rule, we want to tell Facebook to turn off our ads or ad sets or even the campaign when things get too expensive. Now we're going to go ahead and determine the conditions. When you click this little pull down, you're going to see a lot of different variables and options. I'm going to choose when my cost per result is. The next thing we're going to do is when our cost per result is greater than, smaller than, in between, etc. So go ahead and select the one that makes the most sense for your rule. And now you want to determine what is your maximum cost per result that you're aiming for. In this case, the example rule that I'm setting up is when the cost per result is greater than $10. And obviously this is going to vary greatly depending on your specific case. In this case, Facebook is suggesting that we select a minimum lifetime impressions greater than 8,000 people. So once your ad has reached 8,000 people, then they'll start running that rule because that gives them enough time to stabilize your ads and get you some good results before you start applying this automation. The next thing that you can do is choose your time range. So you can tell Facebook, hey, I want you to judge this based on at least the last 3 days of data or 7 days, or just set it to maximum, and they'll just start running this automation once you hit the minimum impressions that you set above. The next thing that you can set is the schedule. So do you want this automation to run continuously? Do you want it to run daily? Or do you want to set a custom schedule? This is also where you can schedule your ads if you want them maybe to run just during business hours or perhaps on the weekends or just on one particular day of the week. The next part you're going to select is the notifications. Do you want Facebook to notify you via email as well as on Facebook, or just on Facebook? The next thing you're going to click is create. Now your rule is created. I always like to go into my rules and just kind of check out what I did and make sure it's exactly what I wanted. Just click here on manage rules and that will take you to that menu. Now I can see my rule right here and I can make sure that everything is set up just how I wanted. Sometimes it's even helpful to say out loud what the rule is, just so that your brain will catch anything that's missing. For example, let's say if I was setting up a schedule around these rules to turn all my ads off during the weekend. Maybe my brick and mortar business is closed during the weekend and I just don't want to run ads during that time. Well, I have to remember as well that I need to set up a rule then to turn the ads on. So that's where you can just kind of review everything and make sure it's exactly how you want it to be. The next rule we're creating is telling Facebook to scale when they see success. So we're going to go ahead and give this rule a name. On the action menu, you'll see plenty of options, and I just chose increase daily budget by. And then in this box, you're going to put the percentage. In my case, I increased it by 15% because the guidance from Facebook right now is telling us not to increase our budgets too dramatically. You could also select a maximum daily budget cap. So while Facebook is increasing the budget, you could say, but ultimately, I don't ever want to spend more than this amount daily. The action frequency is going to give you a menu of how often do you want this action conducted. So in my case, I chose every week. And now we're going to set up the conditions just like before, except that instead of saying when our ad costs are greater than, we're going to say when our ad costs are smaller than. Again, for the time range, you can select the time range that you want to play with. And in this case, I'm going to do maximum. And just like before, you can select your schedule and your notification preferences. And if you want to turn off a rule, you're simply going to select manage rules, and it will open this menu where you can toggle on and off all of your rules. Now that you've got your rules set up, you'll want to watch them and see how they do for your account. If they're doing great, wonderful, keep them going. If you feel like it's not really making a difference in your ad performance, you can choose to turn them off or just let them be. But I do recommend checking in on your rules probably once a week just to make sure you're comfortable with them, and then for sure checking in on them once a month with that monthly maintenance protocol. Rules and automations can be so helpful for your Facebook ads, but there's also a few other organizational tips that I have found can make a huge difference in the amount of time and effort that I'm putting into my ads. Let me share some of my favorite things to batch with you so that you can save time for your ads as well. The first thing that I want you to think about is your creative. This is usually where people get stuck in creating their ads. So each month, the first thing that I recommend is that you spend 1 hour just getting into that creative mode and really thinking through different variations of your ad copy, your ad imagery, videos, and GIFs, just blocking out that hour and having that dedicated creative space versus trying to do it on the fly all the time is actually going to save you a lot of time in the long run. The next thing that I want you to do is block out about 45 minutes per month to go through that monthly maintenance that we talked about at the beginning. Look through those key metrics, determine what needs to be improved, and start brainstorming different ways that you can improve those. All right, my third tip for you is to not spend too much time in your ads manager. Listen, if you're managing a big budget, I get it. You're going to be in your ads manager a lot. But for most of you who are managing small to mid-sized budgets, there's not a reason to be constantly in your ads manager. So resist the urge and focus on other more productive things. I would recommend that you check in once a day, or maybe for some of you that are managing even smaller budgets, a couple times per week. Doing a testing protocol each and every month and going through the key performance indicators that we talked about is going to be sufficient to keep your ads highly competitive. And once you figure out exactly what tests you want to be conducting, we've got an entire playlist for you of how to run those tests and also other ad optimizations that will be incredibly valuable for you in your ads journey. All right, so click now to watch that, and I'll see you in the next video.